Welcome, everyone, to another Domo AI Insights series live stream. Today, I have the absolute pleasure of bringing in some of our AI Labs team, the AI architect, Jeremy Rogers, Joe Clark, software architect on the AI Labs team internally, but also we have our friends from AWS, Aman and Mo, AI Solutions Architect, Specialist Solutions Architect there at AWS. And we have an exciting session for you today for all of Domo community, for all of those people that have been following our AI journey. This one's going to be a good one because we get to talk Domo's AI chat powered by Amazon Bedrock. It is now generally available to all of you out there. And this interactive session is going to dive into all of your really deep, thought-provoking questions, as well as look under the hood on all of those privacy concerns, security measures that we put in place, and really discover how we've, grown this thing. But before we start, I've just been handed a really cool video that we'd like to show. Here we go. That's right. We have finally launched this thing, and it's very exciting. We also have a ton of content available, whether you're watching this live or you're watching it on demand. Please make sure you check out the comment section, the chat section of these videos, because all kinds of links are about to be shared. We have an entire library of the AI Insights series that we've been doing most of the summer into the fall on all of the content that's been produced so far. We want you to make sure that you have access to that, as well as a direct link. Sean's going to share those, our social media manager in the background, the direct link to our Domo AI Readiness Guide. I love this thing. It's super simple, lots of checklists, lots of examples on what you need to do to make sure that you are ready. Now, you're going to see an uptick in a lot of AI content coming from our community. Really want to promote our session tomorrow as we launch a new technical adoption program series where we're going to dive right in to leveraging AI and that AI readiness guide. These are going to be hands-on explorations with Riley Morgan, Dan Hendrickson. They are celebrities around here at Domo. They will be the ones helping you discover how to really build an intelligent AI-powered data app. We're going to do that hands-on tomorrow. Make sure you're a part of that. It's 2 p.m. Eastern, as well as an upcoming AI session on November 13th, where we're going to unlock AI potential through that AI readiness guide with our AI Readiness Labs team and all of the folks that are really helping this become a reality. That's on November 13th at 3 o'clock. We're going to share all of those links in the chat section below or in the comments section, wherever you may be watching. Thanks again for joining us on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, and Twitter X is the way I'm pronouncing it now. So Jeremy, Aman, Mo, and Joe, I feel like it's is that a quartet? You guys could probably make an excellent team together. I probably need to get out of the way, and let's get to the good stuff. Jeremy, I'll turn it off to you. I'll turn it over to you first as we get things started with AI chat and AWS. Lots of things to share today. I want to make sure our audience knows to use the comment section or the chat section to engage with our speakers. We'll try to do a little Q&A at the end, but also throw up your comments as we go, so we make sure we get to everybody. So thanks for joining. Thanks for being a part of the community, and Jeremy and team and everybody from AWS, excited to kick this one off. Let's do it.
Yeah, this will be great. So again, my name is Jeremy Rogers. I'm an AI architect on the AI Labs team at Domo. And I thought it'd be good to start by just giving a high-level overview of what AI chat is for those who haven't seen it. And then I'm going to spend most of my time talking about a couple of new features that have surfaced in the last few weeks that have really moved the bar as far as response quality. And those are pill filters and AI readiness. So throughout, I'm going to be giving demos of AI chat. And the hope is that just kind of lays the foundation so that when we pass it over to Mo, Aman, and Joe, that everybody is kind of on the same page as far as what AI chat is and what it's capable of. So right into it, what is AI chat? In my opinion, it's one of the coolest features to ever come out of Domo. And I'm very biased, but it allows you to ask natural language questions of your underlying structured data. So it has context into the page or app or dashboard that you're looking at. And so if you're looking at an NFL data set, you can ask something like, what are the top 3 teams? And you'll get a textual response as well as a visualization to answer that question. And this is obviously a huge unlock for Domo users for a few reasons. One, it's a very big time saver for those quick one-off questions. You don't necessarily need to go to ETL or Analyzer to answer those. AI chat can do that for you. I really like how AI chat is so iterative. So you can ask a question and refine that question, ask another question, and kind of go down that rabbit hole as you explore your data. But one of I think the biggest value adds is this. There's this. I guess in Domo, not always is it that the people creating the charts are the people consuming them, and with AI chat, now if you're just a consumer of these pages and dashboards, now you can, if a question comes to mind that's not answered by that dashboard, you can ask that question and get a response. So just to kind of show you briefly how that works, I'm going to play this video. I'm going to pause it throughout just to explain a few things. But right here, I'm on a app, and we can actually, AI chat has context. It's context aware, so we know all of the cards and data sets that are attached to this app. And so if we want to deselect certain cards or data sets, we can do that here in Focus, or we can actually pull in other pages or data sets and pin them to AI chat so that that underlying data that we're talking with, we have this ability to edit and really kind of fine tune what data we're having our conversation with. So that's a big piece. So another thing that you'll see that we'll be able to do is right out of the gates, we generate some question suggestions for you, or you can ask your own question like I just did there. And then AI chat is very transparent. As it goes through and it thinks, it's going to actually give you the steps that it's thinking about. And so that's what we're seeing here is we actually can dive in and see this underlying SQL query that was used to generate the chart. If I just back up a little bit, you can see the SQL query that was used to generate the chart, or the other steps that were taken. We can look at the underlying data that was used and so on. Then we can actually go and change the chart type as well. So that's AI chat as it was known probably a few weeks ago. And then we added a couple of new features that I think really were game changing as far as response quality. So I'm going to go through a couple of those. The first one is pill filters. And so I was taking a step back. There really these two features. When users ask questions of AI, no matter how good the AI is, I think people are inherently bad at including all of the necessary information in a question. For example, sorting. It's not necessarily a natural question to say, give me my sales and by year and sort it from this year to this year. Just because it just oftentimes we just forget, or it's just not natural to say. And so that's one of the things that these pill filters do, is it allows us to, after we've asked a question, to refine the chart before we go and save it off. So we can actually change columns that are being used, or add different filters. So if we wanted, or edit filters. So if we wanted different years in our date ranges, or like I mentioned, sorting the data in a different way, we can do that through these pill filters. And so just to kind of show what that looks like, I'll go back to this NFL data set, and I ask, can you show me touchdowns for the Patriots, Packers, Dolphins for the past, or group by year for the past 5 years? And then I also asked it to help me identify trends. So you can see we get a long, good textual response. And then we actually have this ability to go in, change it to a group bar chart, and then we can open up these pill filters and say that we also wanted to include the Dallas Cowboys. We can make that change and the chart will update. Or if we wanted to sort the data in a particular way, we can do that. Or if we wanted to add a filter, or that's something we can do as well. And then we can also see in the table view that the underlying data that's being used. So I think a lot of different options as far as refining the answer, that those small tweaks that we need to make the visualization be what we intended to ask, not necessarily what we actually did ask. That's where this really comes in handy. So pill filters are a really, really great thing. Another new feature that we have coming that is just incredible is this whole concept of AI readiness. So on the data set we're just looking at, the NFL data set, if we were to actually pull up the schema, and we can see it there in the slide, some of the names of the columns that are being used. Game is just G, and average margin of victory is just MOV. So when we're actually generating this chart, and we're looking at the schema to generate that chart, a lot of times we just don't have all of the information that we need to really allow the AI to do what it's good at. And so that's where AI readiness comes in. Is we're going in, we're providing good descriptive names for columns, and we're giving column descriptions and providing synonyms that a user might use when referring to that particular column. We can also narrow the number of columns that we're looking at. So there, a lot of times we'll have date columns that aren't always relevant to, maybe we have an uploaded column that we just don't care about, or a created column that we don't care about. We can deselect those columns and not allow them to confuse chat. And then also pulling in relevant beast modes, so that we're just narrowing that focus to really what exactly we need, and no more. And so,
hey, Jeremy.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, I wanted to pop in here really quick. We had a question on LinkedIn that I want to make sure it doesn't go unnoticed. We had a question specifically on the ability to pin or restrict the data sets to the AI chats. They say company-wide here, but they clarify instance-wide. Do you know if that ability is available in this release?
I don't think it's available now. Joe, you can help me out here.
Yeah, I can jump in.
Yeah.
Yeah, not today. We have talked about having a way to disable an entire data set, so that if you've got a dashboard with some of our dashboards have 20, 30 data sets on them. And you can control that from that little focus tab individually, but company-wide, let's say, several of those data sets are just things that we probably don't want to focus on, AI chat on. We do plan on having a way to disable that, but it is not available today. But thank you for the feedback.
Awesome. Thanks.
All right. Yeah. So regarding AI readiness, I just thought I'd show what that looks like here. So here is a data set. It's just good read book reviews. And what we can do is, this is what the data dictionary actually looks like. Let me just go back here. Let's see. Not sure what I did there, but what it looks like is you can actually come in here and you can see what we've done is we've just provided some synonyms and just a little bit of context around the column. So for this one, we're saying, a book rating is between 0 and 5, and 5 is the best. And that will help guide the AI so that when it goes to generate a chart on that, that's information that it can use. And then we can actually come in here and enable or disable specific columns or provide data set wide context for the AI. So I'll fast forward here because I know I'm running a little bit long. But what we end up seeing is, it just gives us a lot. I guess just a giant improvement in response quality. Definitely worth doing. We've seen great results from it. Just taking, that metadata, it just takes us that extra mile as far as getting the response quality that we need. So I know we have a whole live stream dedicated to this. I believe it's on the 13th of November, and I definitely recommend tuning in then to learn more about AI readiness. But this is just kind of a sneak peek into that. So before I turn over the time over to Mo, just a few quick highlights. AI chat, we follow all of the Domo security best practices. So, all the data governance that you've come to know and love, PDP, basically just not showing users data that they're not supposed to see. That also is honored through AI chat. And then we have AI guardrails as well to just make sure the AI is doing what it should be doing. And then we saw, the transparency and that chat's context aware. And then one other thing I wanted to mention was that page filters do apply. So if you're looking at, a dashboard and you have a filter there, if it's relevant to the question, it will be automatically applied to the question. And then you do have the ability to remove that filter as well. So I know that was just a total whirlwind, 100 miles a minute, but yeah, we've done previous live streams and dug into the architecture of AI chat. So if you had lingering questions, definitely go back and check those live streams. But hopefully that gives you kind of a foundation so that when Mo, Aman, and Joe start digging into this, that you know what we're talking about. So I'll go ahead and turn it over to Mo.
Thanks, Jeremy. So now what we're going to do is give a brief introduction to Amazon Bedrock, which is essentially the brain behind Domo AI. We'll do a brief overview of the architecture. Like Jeremy mentioned, you folks may have seen it before, but we'll just go at a high level to refresh everyone's memories. And then I'll pass it over to Aman to talk about the security features of Bedrock itself. So when we look at Amazon Bedrock, so Amazon Bedrock is essentially the easiest way to build and scale your Gen AI applications. Everything is API based with Amazon Bedrock, so you get a really nice plug and play feel when using this service. And essentially, what it is we offer a variety of best in class models, ranging from open source to proprietary to our very own Amazon homegrown models. You can you can select your model, put in your prompt, and use the API to get a response from the LLM itself. So at the highest level, you can query all the LLMs that we have available, not just text to text, but text to embedding and text to image as well. Now, on top of the regular querying that you could do on Amazon Bedrock, we also offer a variety of orchestration tools as well. So with Bedrock, you can create agentic workflows and you can power them with multiple LLMs and really customize what the actions your agent takes. Does it write to a database? Does it offload math to a calculator app? The choice is yours there. So, on top of the agentic workflows, also Amazon Bedrock allows you to orchestrate RAG based architectures. For those of you unfamiliar, RAG based architectures are retrieval augmented generation. You can kind of think it as this architecture will allow your LLM to become a pseudo expert in a field. You can ask the LLM a question. It will then go and query a variety of documents on that topic if you have them stored, pull up the relevant information, and use that bundled with your query to give you the best answer possible. So with Amazon Bedrock, you can use and orchestrate RAG-based architectures, and also we give you variety of options to customize your workflows, whether it's tools with prompt engineering, if you want to track, manage your prompt library, you want to experiment and version them, or you also want a GUI to look at your workflow. Amazon Bedrock allows you to do that on the prompt engineering side. And on the flip side, if you are looking at some of the models that you're using out of the box and you think that maybe fine tuning a model is the right use case for you, Amazon Bedrock also offers a variety of way to fine tune the models that we have available there. So thank you for bearing with the crash course of Amazon Bedrock. Of course, that's a very long discussion to have, but at a high level, that's what it is. So next, what we're going to do is on this slide, just look over briefly the LLMs that we have available on Amazon Bedrock. So from our very own Amazon homegrown models with our Titan line, we have our Titan text generation models, our Titan embedding models, and also our Titan image generating models. Also, a very popular family of models on Amazon Bedrock is Anthropic, the Claude family by Anthropic. So we have the latest Claude 3 family of models available as well. And all the way to the right side, you'll be able to see Meta, Mistral, and Stability. So Meta and Mistral, as you folks know, some of the most powerful open source models also available on Bedrock. And all the way to the right, we have Stability AI, which is a very powerful tool to do image generation with text. So these are the models available, and some newer models are getting added as they come out. Nowadays it seems that model providers are coming out with new models on a weekly basis. So this list is ever growing. For example, we do have the Llama 3.1 and 3.2 models available on Bedrock as well. Cool. So now that we have a high level overview of what Bedrock is and does, and we have an idea of the type of LLMs available on Bedrock, now let's look at how our friends at Domo have used Bedrock to power the Domo AI. So here we have the architecture diagram of what it looks like under the hood. And each of the steps are numbered in which way the workflow goes. So we're going to start from step one, as you can see on the top left of the screen. So essentially what will happen is end users will interact with the Domo AI, either with the website or via mobile. What you can do is the end user will ask a question. As you saw, Jeremy asked multiple questions to the data, and the users will be able to query similarly to that. The first step is that this query will go through a set of Domo's custom guardrails. And what these guardrails will do is analyze the user's input, and ensure these inputs and queries are non toxic, go with Domo's responsible AI policies, and don't contain inappropriate or harmful content. Once these guardrails have ensured that the user's query is appropriate, it can pass through and then goes on to step number two, the agent planner. As you saw from our demo videos right before this section, the Domo AI chat gives you a lot of information to work with. And to give you each piece of those, it needs to orchestrate and plan its course of action. And that's exactly what the agent planner allows for the chat to do. The agent planner takes the user's query and sends it to Amazon Bedrock to understand, analyze the user's query, and come out with a plan on how the user's query and the information the users needs can be returned back to the end user. So once a plan comes into place, and this can be things like first generate a SQL statement to actually gather the data, then execute the SQL statement to get the data back, and then analyze the data, wrap it up into a nice, neat natural language sentence, and show it back to the user. So the agent planner will plan out all of the steps, and then in step number three, those tool use steps will be executed. So any tools that the Domo AI needs to actually execute the plan, they will be executed in step three, and all the information will be gathered. Within step three, we can also sometimes use step four, which is when I had previously mentioned a RAG based workflow. This will be done with using Amazon Redshift, using Domo's Cloud Amplifier, which allows you to really speed up and optimize the vector search here. So if there are relevant documents to the user's query that need to be searched, the vector search will take place in step four to retrieve the relevant content. And for those of you unfamiliar, by vector search, we mean you take a natural language sentence, turn it into a numerical example, and then search for similar pieces of language via sentiment to return the proper chunks of data from Redshift. So that's it at a high level. Now, after all the tools have been executed, all of the information has been returned, we go back to step five, the agent solver. And this is that step, as I had mentioned earlier, that will take and aggregate all this information, tie it in a neat little bow, and give it in a natural language answer for the user at the end. The last step before the user actually gets to see the answer is that the LLM's actual natural language answer will be again run through Domo's custom guardrails to ensure that everything is non-harmful, follows responsible AI guidelines, and is just good for the end user to see. And that's what happens at the end. Finally, the user gets the answer to their question and some nice visualizations to go along with it. So I know in the earlier video you saw what Jeremy showed. You get an answer in a couple of seconds, right? But this is everything that goes on behind the scenes. So thank you for bearing with that. And just, in this section, at a high level, we took a look at what Amazon Bedrock is, how it's being used in Domo AI. And now I'm going to pass it over to Aman to get even deeper with Amazon Bedrock and its security aspects.
Sure. Thanks, Mo. So I also wanted to highlight one very cool feature of Domo AI chat, which is if a user asks that question, they also give you the ability to see how the chat arrived to that solution, which is the chain of thought, the transparent chain of thought. So this gives users the confidence that the answers that they are getting is actually being uh, retrieved by those credible data sources. So it's a very cool feature. Most of the customers that I work with, they want this feature in your AI solution, that I want to know how did you arrived into that particular answer. So that's great. It's part of the uh, explainability part of responsible AI. So very happy to see that feature within Domo AI Chat. Now let's talk about the Bedrock, how Bedrock manages the security, right? There are some of the burning questions that what happens with my data? Is this data being used to train the models and things like that? A lot of teams are involved when it comes to adopting an AI solution for your enterprise. So let's start with this thing. So, like any AWS service, there are some basic principles that we use to create any service, which is starting with the IAM, which is the AWS Identity and Access Management, which is a service that helps administrators, like in this case, Domo has used Bedrock to securely control access to the AWS resources. So the administrators can control who can be authenticated, that is signed in and authorized to have that permissions to the Bedrock resources. AWS monitoring and logging. Now, Domo really wants to provide you the best customer experience, and for that, they really want to know what's the observability looking like when they are using our service. So when it comes to the AWS monitoring and logging, we have services like Amazon CloudWatch that helps Domo to collect metrics, have those logs, as well as to audit those API calls using AWS CloudTrail. Now, AWS Private Link is a service that is used to establish private connectivity between your VPC, that we call it. It's like a logical network boundary within AWS and the Amazon Bedrock Foundation model. So we are going to dive deep into those network flows when it comes to the public flows as well as the private flows. AWS service compliance. Bedrock has been given a lot of compliance certifications: GDPR, HIPAA eligible, PCI DSS. So these are the compliance that every enterprise is looking for in every industry. If you are a financial service company, you are in a very highly regulated industry, and you really want to know how does the compliance look like when we are interacting with Amazon Bedrock. And then it really comes about the bread and butter: encryption at rest and encryption in transit. So how do we handle that? Let's dive deep, and if more, you can go to the next slide. Okay, so none of the customer's data is used to train the underlying foundation models, and by customer, it's you, that you're using this data. The AI chat is using Bedrock, so none of the customer's data that they are ingesting. All the data is encrypted at rest using a service which is KMS. And when the data is in flight, which is in transit, those network communication, that is encrypted in transit with a minimum of TLS 1.2. We have this mandate going on that for all our AWS service public endpoints, we are mandating this TLS 1.2 to uplift the security posture as a whole for AWS. And TLS 1.3 is also supported. You also, as an end customer, you also get the ability to bring your own keys and manage those own keys, which you can use to encrypt. Now there is a term fine tune models. We allow you to do that with Amazon Bedrock, where you can bring your own label data, store it in a data store like Amazon S3, and train that pre-trained model with your enterprise data to finally create a fine tune model that really understand your nomenclature even better. Then we have integration with IAM for those fine-grained access controls. And then we have a bunch of compliance, a lot of compliance certifications when it comes to GDPR, HIPAA, PCI, SOC 1, SOC 2, things like that. If we can move to the next slide, which is monitoring and compliance. So when it comes to the monitoring and compliance, when it comes to monitoring, Amazon CloudWatch, think of it as a repository where all the metrics and logs are stored. You can track those usage metrics. You can create alarms based on those metrics. Some of the metrics like model invocations. What is the latency of my invocations? Count of input output tokens. That's the currency that has been used in this generative AI, like the tokens. What's the token consumption? Also, really kind of integrated with some of the pricing of those foundation models. CloudTrail is a service that tracks and the API calls, like who made that call, when was it made, what role was it used. So think about this service as for auditing purposes. If you are being audited by a company, CloudTrail is the repository where you are going to show that information to them. And then the compliance framework, support for FedRAMP, GDPR, SOC, ISO. It's not an extensive list. If you really want to dive deep into the compliance, we can share those links with you where you can go and see how many in-scope compliance programs Bedrock has as of now. And those list is increasing. Now let's focus on the model environments. And let's go to the on-demand and provision. That's correct. So when it comes to provisioning, there are two modes. One is the on-demand, other one is the provision. With on-demand mode, you pay only for what you use with no time-based term commitments. So it's a deployment that is available to all customers. What it does is that it holds a baseline version of a supported model. By the supported model, I mean all those models that you saw in when Mo was sharing that slide, those third-party models, Anthropic, Mistral, Cohere, Stability. So we hold a baseline version of that supported model. With provision capacity, as you move forward with your journey and you have a very clear understanding of how much throughput I need, once your AI solution becomes very famous, everyone is using it, this is where you can purchase model units for a specific base or custom model. And this provision throughput mode is primarily designed for large consistent inference workloads that need guaranteed throughput. Now, that is the real distinction between on demand and provision. But when it comes to security, when you see that security layer, you can see those common compute features. No inference request, input or output text is used to train any model. Deployments, now we are going to dive deep into how it really looks under the hood and how we are standing right behind when we say that the Domo's AI chat, when you're interacting with that AI service layer, it's completely secured, and how we are handling that data, how we are partitioning it. So deployments that are inside an AWS account that is owned and operated by our Bedrock team, the service team. And model vendors have no access to any customer data. So we are not sending that data. For example, if Domo is using Anthropic to Anthropic and they are using that data to train their models or to improve those models. Let's move to what happens during a request to Amazon Bedrock. Okay. So here in this diagram, what we are looking at is the client connectivity. Now here in this case, the client is Domo. But if you want to use Bedrock directly, this slide is also for you, where you can conceptually understand what happens at a network level. So a typical set of environments, this shows 3 network locations: the Amazon Bedrock service account, which holds the service components within an AWS region with its endpoint that exposes the service to that AWS region. Bedrock is a regional service. And there is a lot of rationale why we created this as a regional service, in order to adhere with the data sovereignty and residency requirements. So it's a regional service. Then comes the customer account, which is you, which holds a client application that wishes to use Amazon Bedrock which is within a VPC in the same AWS region as the Amazon Bedrock service account. So in this flow, you can see that there is maybe an application that is sitting inside your VPC and you're interacting with Bedrock. Now, there might be a corporate network which is external to global network that holds a customer application and you wish to use Amazon Bedrock. And here you can always use the public internet. It's a public service. It has a public endpoint. You can use VPN to connect to Bedrock, or if your enterprise needs more throughput, a private dedicated connection, that's where AWS Direct Connect comes into the picture. So when it comes to the connectivity part, let me just go. Depending on the IP address space that has been targeted, you can see the public address space where the traffic flows are shown in the yellow, right? And a private address space where the traffic flows are shown in blue, right? So an Amazon VPC typically has a private address space and it's not routable for any other network with additional resources. And here a NAT gateway within a VPC has a public IP assigned to it and able to route to the public address over internet gateway. Now, regardless of which address space method is used, all traffic to that API endpoint for Bedrock is encrypted in flight using TLS 1.2 or greater. And all the traffic within Amazon Bedrock service is also encrypted in flight to at least the standard. So let's move to the on-demand compute architecture. Okay, that's good. So here the concept of model deployment account comes. There is one such deployment account per model provider per AWS region where Bedrock is available. Now, how do we actually manage these models? These third-party models that we have partnered with. So we put those models in an account that we own and operate on your behalf. Model providers do not have access to those accounts. There is also no outbound or inward access to or from the internet for these accounts. What we do is we perform a copy of model providers inference and training container images into those accounts, storing them within an Amazon S3 bucket. This copy process will enforce a certain quality bar prior to copying, and it will contain several end-to-end tests and checks to ensure security and compliance within the container image. So this is part of, if you ask us that, how do you really decide which model providers to team up with? And if you have done it, do you perform any security checks on that model itself, on that LLM model itself? And the answer is yes. There are a lot of penetration tests that we do on that LLM model, as well as we very seriously examine their SOC 1 and other compliance certifications that they have got. And this copy process will enforce a certain quality of bar. Amazon Bedrock will have access to these accounts only via narrowly scoped API. So that account that we are handling for you, and that is completely scoped. Now, a model deployment account will also hold the relevant compute environment. That is the on-demand compute that a customer's inference request is routed to, be it a baseline model or a customer-specific customized model, right? So in this diagram, it shows how the on-demand compute architecture works, where all the incoming network traffic via any kind of interface, web, SDK, API, goes through that endpoint, and then we invoke that Amazon Bedrock model through that runtime inference here. If we move to the provision capacity architecture overview, it looks very similar. In this case, the only difference is that capacity is dedicated to that customer. And in this case, if you tend to fine tune that model, you're gonna store that label data set, the training set, in an S3 bucket. You're gonna use that data to fine tune that model, and then the model artifact is again going to be stored in an S3 bucket. And finally, when it comes to building generative apps, it brings new challenges. Now, undesirable and irrelevant topics. Now, just think about when Mo was talking about those custom guardrails that Domo has placed. Why those guardrails are so important. It's important for the input and output sanitization. It's important to protect against attacks like prompt injection. You really want to see what people are requesting and what the response is like, and if there is any unrelevant prompt to that application, your application should be able to protect the data and should be able to respond with a default uh, answer to the end user. And if you want to dive deep into what we discussed today, there are two artifacts. One artifact is a blog that we authored with the help of Domo AI team. You can scan the QR code, you can go and read the blog. That also has a video of the Domo AI chat that you have just seen. And you can also go to the Domo's commitment to the generative AI security and the controls that they have in place to make this application highly secure. So with that, that's all I have.
All right, thank you, Aman. Thank you, Mo. It is really great to see what's behind the scenes, and hopefully, help share with all of you, why we're so confident in, our answer for what really is the number one concern that people have for using AI with our private data is making sure their data is safe. As it transits from one system to another, and also ensuring that models can't train on that data, and we feel really comfortable and really excited about our partnership with Amazon Bedrock. Thank you for sharing my screen. I did want to talk a little bit more about that partnership. We go quite a ways back with AWS. Before all this LLM craze came about, we did have a couple of integrations with Amazon SageMaker, providing some traditional machine learning capabilities. Of course, now if you are an Amazon customer or an AWS customer and you want to use some of the models that are in Amazon Bedrock, but we haven't exposed directly, you can import those into Domo. We support all the providers that Mo and Aman listed earlier in their presentation. And then once you import those models into Domo, you can use them in really a lot of places. If you want to automate a workflow, maybe with some user feedback, you can do that. If you want to build custom apps using AI, you can do it. You can do that. If you've got some custom Python or R code that you want to use in Jupyter Workspaces, you can call models from there as well. And so, being able to pull those models from Amazon Bedrock using our Amazon Bedrock connector is a capability that we've been really excited about since we released that capability last year. I did also want to go over a few of the changes. I know we're running short on time. If you didn't see the announcements, we did have with the AI chat release some changes to the default roles, just to make sure that everyone that wants to use AI chat can. And so as of the release last week, or was it 2 weeks ago, AI chat is now granted to the default privileged editor and participant roles. And being able to create models and have access to model management, and the AI playground now is allowed for privileged in editor roles in addition to admin. There were a couple of other settings changes. If you are excited about AI, but maybe not so excited for your production Domo instance to have AI enabled yet, we do now offer a global setting to turn off generative AI. We really hope you don't turn it off, but we do offer that capability until, so you can play around with it in a dev instance, and then, once you're ready for it, you can turn it on. The other thing, if Mo and Amani, just close your ears for a little bit if you don't want to use our Amazon Bedrock hosted Domo GPT models in AI chat and our other our other AI features. We do now, this may not be enabled yet, but it will be enabled soon. We do now have this AI chat default model provider setting. We support Domo GPT and OpenAI as providers. If you want to give OpenAI a try, you can do that there. Of course, we recommend Domo GPT. Let's see, looking at some roadmap items, there's a couple of really exciting things. As was announced, AI Chat is in a free trial through the end of the year. So please give it a try so that you can see the value that it adds. Coming, beyond that, we are hard at work trying to get custom agents ready for you so that you can not only embed, this current experience that we have for exploring your data that's in Domo or allowing other people to explore your data that's in Domo, but you can truly customize every aspect of that process and configure custom tools and actions. And we know as part of that, being able to have your AI experience or AI agents interact not only with structured data with SQL queries, but also unstructured data, whether that's knowledge bases, other documents or images. We are adding a few improvements to AI dictionaries. If you played around with those, we already have some more improvements to make it even better. Being able to provide example or sample values, as well as mappings or data labels if those values are encoded. On the AI service front and universal model front, I think this is the first time this has been announced. But this Thursday, I believe we will have 2 new AI services available in the AI playground. First is forecasting. Well, I think on my slide it looks like image to text is first. So this is an entirely new service for us where you can upload an image and extract text from that image. It is prompt-based, so if you want to customize how that image is, or how that text comes back, you can do that. In the coming weeks, we'll also be releasing the ability to integrate with that and the other areas in the Domo product, like workflows in Jupyter and custom apps as well. Forecasting we've talked about for a long time. Again, this will be in the AI playground on Thursday, and I believe a data flow tile as well. And I know in the coming weeks or months we do have some in-product integrations right on your card, so you can click a single button and get your forecast right there on your card or on your dashboard. Other exciting things we're working on. Speaking of Amazon Bedrock, one of the things they do really well is allow you to not just do these one-off requests, but if you have maybe millions of values that you want to push through a large language model with a prompt template, that's a capability that we want to surface through data flows, whether you're trying to summarize reviews or perform customized sentiment analysis on the reviews or other type of textual data that can fit inside of a data set. And then as a follow-up to our forecasting universal model, we also are working on a PII detection model. And that's about it. I just wanted to put in one last reminder. We've already talked about this a couple of times, but there are a couple more community events coming up tomorrow and in a couple of weeks. This AI readiness thing is so important. If the number one question or concern we get is about data privacy, and we talked a lot about that today, the number 2 question that we get is, how do I get consistent, correct answers to my questions or to our business users' questions in AI chat? And AI readiness is really the answer to that, and with the AI dictionary. So please check those out. If you don't have access to AI chat in your instance right now, request access to the free trial. I think you'll be amazed. It really is an amazing product. So, thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, Joe. I want to bring back Jeremy as well as Aman and Mo you guys have just been absolutely incredible. It's a great session when we can get everybody in the room. There's lots of us on today's live stream and a full hour here. Obviously, we want to thank everyone in the audience. Let's bring in Sean. Look, he doesn't know he's going to be on camera right now. There he is. Look at him. Having a little lunch, Sean? No. Our social media manager.
Little Mint.
Yeah, little Mint. He's doing all the things.
Always ready to go, Eddie.
I'd like to catch him off guard a little bit. He's been obviously answering a lot of your questions across LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter X, wherever you might find him. But we do appreciate everybody joining us and engaging with us as an audience here as we kind of launch this AI chat thing and talk more about AI. Tomorrow, I want to reiterate, tomorrow we will be doing a technical adoption program series. We're starting it, one of the first ones about leveraging AI and AI readiness in Domo apps. These will be hands-on. These will be exploratory. Riley Morgan and Dan Hendrickson will be spinning the hits tomorrow, October 30th. At 2 p.m. Eastern. If you're interested in all of these events, you can find them on our community. Shameless plug for the guy that's running the community here at Domo. Please make sure you are headed over to our community forums, checking our events page. That's where you'll find all of the links for all of the things, so you're notified when we do these events. Thank you to AWS, Mo and Aman. We really appreciate you guys being here and giving us an overview of Amazon Bedrock. Huge thank you to Jeremy and Joe from the AI Lab Squad on really overviewing all of the fun. We will catch you guys on the next one, which is tomorrow for our technical adoption program. And then if you want to join the AI Labs team again, you'll see them November 13th. Make sure you like, subscribe, do all of the things, Sean, right? Let's make sure that we do all the things on social as well. Share this content with all of our friends that enjoy our products or that might be interested in our products here at Domo. We will see you tomorrow, hopefully 2 p.m. Eastern on October 30th for that technical adoption AI series. Thanks again, everybody, for joining. Really appreciate it.